Welcome to the Full-Time FBA Show. In each episode, it's our goal to help you turn part-time hours into a full-time income selling almost anything on Amazon. And now, your hosts of the show, Stephen and Rebecca Smotherman.
Hello there, and welcome to another episode of the Full-Time FBA Show. We are on episode number 231, and today we're going to be talking about best practices for SOPs in your Amazon FBA business. We're going to be doing some acronyms today. And here with me to talk about that is my podcast co-host and my husband, Stephen Smotherman. Are you ready to do some acronyms, Stephen?
I am. I'm totally ready for acronyms that we plan to talk about. I was trying to come up with one on the top of my head to be silly at the start of this.
I know you love to be silly at the beginning of the podcast.
I couldn't do it.
That's probably for the best.
It is probably for the best. I'll be okay with that.
Okay, well, in that case, let's get started with this episode of the Full-Time FBA Show. If you tuned into our most recent episode of the Full-Time FBA Show, you know that we discussed several questions you can ask yourself to find areas where you're wasting time in your FBA business. If you haven't already listened to that episode, we highly encourage you to check it out. It was episode number 230, so you can find it at fulltimefba.com/230 or find episode 230 on your favorite podcast player. Now, the last question that we covered in that episode was this: are you reinventing the wheel every other week when you should be following smooth, clear systems and processes? This question deals directly with whether or not you are using SOPs in your business, an SOP being standard operating procedure. We also touched on the question of whether you are treating your Amazon FBA seller account as a business or a hobby in that previous episode. And so I would just add here, if you aren't using some form of SOPs in your FBA business, then you might have a glorified hobby on your hands, not a business that you are looking to grow or scale.
Yeah, like Rebecca said, SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedure. So let's get into a brief definition of what exactly an SOP entails. So SOPs, they can be complicated or they can be pretty simple. I mean, it all depends on the situation. But for today's example, let's just keep it simple. An SOP is basically a document or a video that you create showing the step-by-step process on how you carry out a task in your business that you do on a regular basis. It's that simple. It's a series of steps that you've written out or maybe illustrated in a quick video on your computer screen so you know what to do when you need to do it. So let me give you an example. We have an SOP-style blog posts all over the FulltimeFBA.com website, and probably one of the most popular is called How to Run End-of-Year Inventory and Sales Reports for Tax Purposes. Within that blog post, you'll see a list of steps to take in order to perform this task and do it every year at the end of the year in order to correctly report tax information to the IRS. This blog post was first born out of the fact that every single year I was going through these steps in my business, and rather than every year having to look up the information for what I need to do in Seller Central or in forums or in Facebook groups over and over again, I decided to write down those steps so that I could just simply refer to them again in the future. In other words, I created an SOP.
So there are several reasons why you should consider using SOPs in your FBA business. It's not just busy work. It's not just one more thing you should do to make your business seem more official. It's truly so that you can save time and improve your processes. If you take a little bit of time up front to write out an SOP on a task that you do over and over again in your business, it's going to help you standardize the process of completing that task. It will help you see steps that are redundant or maybe unnecessary. It will help you see areas where you can streamline or save money. And just basically overall, it's going to help you improve your workflow. Like I said, it's going to help you standardize the systems that you use on a regular basis in your business, which is where that S in standard operating procedures comes in, standardizing it. It's also going to help you save time in the future to make these SOPs. It's a bit of a time investment up front to write out the steps in a process or to make a video of those steps while you're doing them on your computer screen. But that time investment up front should have a big ROI for you and your time in the future. You won't have to look up that info online over and over again. So like we said, you won't have to reinvent that wheel every time you need to do a particular task.
Another way SOPs can save you time in a huge way is that they make it easier for you to outsource repetitive tasks in your Amazon FBA business. I mean, if you hire someone to come to your business to help you prep and pack inventory, or if you hire someone to come do the sourcing for you, or if you have a virtual assistant that you've hired, you're going to need a way to teach them and show them what you want them to do in your business. If you've already written out some SOPs in your business, guess what? You are golden. You can just direct that new assistant to the SOPs that you've already made and then train them on what those tasks mean and what to do. So if you're hiring someone but don't already have those SOPs put together, you're going to want to start putting some of those SOPs together in some shape so that your assistant knows how to do the tasks that you're expecting them to do. It's going to make the training process easier, and it'll also help with answering questions moving forward if the assistant has something in written or video form to refer back to, rather than coming to you to ask the question again and again.
We've done this at various times in our business with various assistants, and it works great. When we've had someone come out to our house to help with prepping and packing inventory, we put together an SOP with words and pictures to show how to inspect our online arbitrage inventory and the steps for how to prep it. It was a simple one-page Word doc that we printed out, laminated it, and posted it in the workspace so that it was easy to refer to, and it made the expectations of that task very clear. Now, with my VA or virtual assistant, I use SOPs all the time. I honestly don't know how we would get by without using SOPs in some form. I just don't think we could work together. Some of these I've written for her, and some of them I've recorded a video for her, and some of them she's even recorded for me to show me something that she's come up with a process for so that I can understand it and then have a record of it. So it can work both ways. That's when you know you have a winner of a VA, when they are documenting new SOPs for your business so that you don't even have to do that part of it. Mm-hmm. Now, I know we've mentioned a couple of times by now about writing down your SOPs or recording a video. So I just want to mention real quick what tools we use to do that. When we say a written SOP, I really mean typed up. I mean, I guess you could write them, but typing it makes it easier to keep a record of it in electronic form. And we do this in a few different forms, but it really is very simple. Like I said, just a simple Word doc or a Google Doc. Sometimes a spreadsheet works well for some things. We also use Evernote. That's a good way to organize different notes and processes. It really doesn't have to be fancy. You can just open up a doc, start a numbered list in that document, and then just start writing out each step of a process. Now, when we record videos, you can use any type of screen capture software out there. There's a bunch of different ones. Again, some of them are pretty fancy, others are pretty simple. Really, all you need to do is find some type of software that will let you video your screen and record your voice as you're walking through the steps. We use Loom. They have a pretty decent free account, and it's just really easy to share the videos through Loom that I make. So my VA is in the Philippines. I can just send her a link to a Loom video, and immediately she can view it and see what I've done. So I can show her on my computer what steps I take to do a task, and then I can talk through the instructions with her, send her that link, and then she has that link and can watch that video over and over again, can refer to it just as often as she needs to do when she's doing the task. There are some more complicated SOP softwares out there, and I mean pretty complicated. But unless you have a bunch of employees working together on a team, that's really going to be overkill to get a software like that. Really, just a simple Word doc or a 5-minute video is all it takes.
So to wrap this up, think back to the questions related to SOPs we went over in the previous episode. Are you reinventing the wheel every other week when you should be following smooth, clear systems and processes? What are the tasks that you do over and over again in your business? What are the tasks you need to write down today? Yes, today or this week, so you can document those processes and not spend time researching Seller Central again and again for that information again in 2 weeks. So what are the tasks that you could document in an SOP and hand over to an assistant to do that task for you? Our hope is that this podcast spurs your thinking about how to streamline some areas in your FBA business by putting together some SOPs. Again, we're not trying to create busy work for you or try to make you feel pressure of just one more task you need to do in your business. We are truly wanting to help you earn more money with Amazon FBA, even making a full-time income with part-time hours. And one step in earning more is putting together these SOPs, saving yourself time in the long run, and making it easier to outsource routine areas of your FBA business.
Now, we have a free gift for you. We've put together an example SOP for you to get you started with thinking through tasks that you do on a regular basis and how you can go about documenting them for yourself or for an assistant. So if you go to fulltimefba.com/SOP sample, you can download a PDF of an SOP. Again, here's all the acronyms, PDF, SOP for your FBA business. This particular one is how to manually reprice your inventory. This might already be something you know how to do. So you can just download this PDF to look at it and see, how is this SOP written? What types of screenshots do we include? How do we make it easy to refer back to? Or this might be something that you need to learn how to do yourself. And so you can download that SOP and learn how to do this task. Either way, we've made this available for you to look at as an example of an SOP. Again, the link is fulltimefba.com/SOP sample. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Full-Time FBA Show. As always, you can find the show notes and all of the links that we mentioned in this episode at fulltimefba.com/231. That's episode number 231 of the Full-Time FBA Show.
And next week on the show, we are talking about incorrect assumptions you're making that's costing you profits. So come back next week, learn some of these assumptions, get those corrected, and make more money. Thanks to the Full-Time FBA Show.
That's all for this episode of the Full-Time FBA Show. So head over to fulltimefba.com/podcast, where you'll find the show notes and links from this episode. While you're there, subscribe to our newsletter, where you'll get several free downloads of our popular and helpful Amazon FBA resources. Now, take action on what you've learned today, so you can find success at turning part-time hours into a full-time income with Amazon FBA.